Hi guys, it's Emma, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then hello, nice to meet you. I'm a full-time singer-songwriter, musician-y type, and this is where the music happens. I also have another channel on here just called Hi It's Emma, where I say that the chaos happens. That's my talky channel. I put out videos every single Monday that are fun content that varies between makeup and chill videos and art and craft style videos. But I also put out the occasional essay-style analytical video. So if you want to check that channel out when you're done here, it'll be linked on the end screen and in the description below as always. But if you're looking for the music, then you are in the right place, because this is the music channel. And obviously, as I've been telling you guys for a year at this point, I'm releasing a new single, and said single has actually been released. Woo! If you follow me already, then you'll know that my single Baby Steps came out on Tuesday. I'm very excited. I hope that you guys have all listened to it. You should have all listened to it by now. You've had a couple of days. If you haven't listened to it, then stop this video, head to the link in the description, go give it a stream, because I will only be playing snippets of it in this video. It'll probably be playing on the end screen as well, but mostly it'll just be snippets in this video. So if you want to hear the full thing in all its glory, I suggest giving it a stream before you watch this video, because as the title of the video suggests, I'm going to be doing a breakdown of the demo track that I actually first recorded for the single versus the final studio recorded mixed version that you guys are hearing when you stream it now. Because I think it's quite interesting to see the process of a song going from being written. If you've ever seen me perform, you'll have heard this song in its raw form. The form that it originally came out in was acoustic, just me and my guitar. So it's gone from that to what I then put in the demo, to what I've now managed to achieve with the help of James and Imogen of Esh House Audio. Absolute legends, would not have been able to create this song without them. And that now you are all streaming on the various streaming platforms. So yeah, if you haven't heard it yet, go stream it now. It's okay, we'll wait for you. Take your time, go, really give it a listen, because I'm gonna be breaking it down. You good? You done? You back? Cool. Let us begin. Headphones out, because I need to listen as I go to remember what I want to say about different bits. And let us, oh, that's tangled. I'm going to break this down bit by bit, section by section. So obviously we're going to start with the intro, because there's some interesting little changes to the intro. So this is what it originally sounded like on the demo. You can hear it's got a lot of all the same components. A lot of the ideas I had for the track have remained in the final version. But obviously the biggest difference you can hear is that in the final version I've got this fade in going on in the intro. So it's got one of those EQ style effects on it that makes it sound like it's being played through a phone speaker, or like it's really, really far away. Then it's also got one of those reversed cymbals on it. The reversed cymbals are great. If you ever want to do a good transition in a song or a good fade in from a song, those little reversed cymbals, they're in everything these days because they work so well on TikTok. So if you want to make a good song for TikTok, having one of these reversed cymbals with some sort of EQ based effect before it, preferably something that makes it sound like it's sort of fading in. That, or you have something really soft and gentle acoustic and you have one of these and you bring in the full band, stuff like that works really well. I knew I really wanted that on this because I had this vision for the music video. So when the music video comes out, why I wanted that transition there will become a bit clearer, because there is there's almost a transition from one thing to another in the music video that I have planned. So I wanted that fading in sort of feel to it. So yeah, that's part of why I wanted that in. And the only reason it isn't on the demo, because I always had that planned. That's not a change that we made in the studio. That was something I always had planned, and I said from day one when we went in the studio. But the only reason it isn't on the demo is because I did this on GarageBand before I was doing my Emma Learns Logic series, before I was really exploring I don't even know if you could do it. You can probably do this on GarageBand. I might have a go and see if I can alter it and recreate it on GarageBand and make a video out of that, because if I can, I'll show you guys how to do it. But I'm pretty sure you probably can do this on GarageBand, because you should be able to put that kind of EQ effect on it. You can do automation. I think you can automate effects on GarageBand. I'm not certain of that. Don't hold me to that, but I think you can automate effects on GarageBand as well. I don't know if you can do it as complexly, but it must be doable. There must be a way to do this on GarageBand. I'm sure that there'll be a way. So I'm gonna have a go and see if I can recreate it on GarageBand, and I'll make a video out of that, because that could be a fun video. Anyway, but I didn't know how to do that at the time, and I knew that it was gonna be easy enough to explain in the studio. because it's an effect that you get on a lot of songs. The other obvious big difference you can probably hear, if I let it play for a little bit longer as well.
Stop, fall apart, repeat. Sha-la-la-la. Keep your hands in your pockets and your eyes on your feet. Sha-la-la-la. Stop, fall apart, repeat. Keep your hands in your pockets and your eyes on your feet.
It becomes clearer in the verse. And that big difference is obviously the drums. Now, that is something that changed partially because I didn't know exactly what I wanted the drums to sound like, but I had sort of some ideas in my mind, but I am, at the end of the day, not a drummer. So they got somewhat similar rhythms, but I sort of lent into the cymbals a lot to try and achieve what I wanted in the demo version. But then in the final version, that there's this tick, 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 that is definitely not a cymbal, and it's not just the snare drum, it's actually the rim, which is something James actually also did on Wasting My Time. Like, the drums throughout this are something that have changed considerably. I especially love in this section the way that he had that rat tat 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 tat. I think that works perfectly. But that's one of the major differences throughout the song, is that where I just put on some basic MIDI drums to try and get something of an idea of the rhythm I was going for it. Once you added in the acoustic drum kit as well, because we started off with the acoustic drum kit and we got this really great acoustic version of the song that was sounding pretty good already, but I wanted it to sound a bit poppier, so we did then put on electronic drums as well. But having that acoustic kit there as well makes the song way more percussive than the demo version originally was, which is what I always really had in mind. I wanted it to sound very light and very bouncy, and I think one of the main ways you can achieve that is with a lot of quite light percussion. You know, you've got your bass drum driving things forward, but then you've got all of these, the rim stuff, the cymbals going on that help to lift it in the track. But then you've got the electronic drums keeping the beat throughout and making everything sound nice and clean and driving it forward. That's the major overall difference that I think when you listen to them, you'll be able to hear that really clearly. Anyway, back to my demo version.
Baby, stay.
Okay, another big difference that I always knew was going to change when I came into the studio was the MIDI sounds. Mostly because when I was putting the MIDI sounds in on GarageBand, I just sort of went for the closest thing I could find, because obviously GarageBand does not have a massive array of instruments. It has a lot for a free program, but in particular for that motif, I think is the word I want, that is in the intro and it's after every chorus, the bit that goes dun, 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 dun. That was originally just played on a basic electric piano synth, was what I picked out for that. And I knew I was going to change it because it was boring. And that motif was what I really wanted to stand out there. And the electric piano wasn't doing it. The electric piano was too clean, too nice. Needed something with a bit more bounce to it. And we spent ages on this synth. Oh my God, this took forever to find the right sound. And actually, a little fun fact for you guys here is that this doesn't have James's hands on it at all, really, this synth. I mean, that's not entirely true. He had to mix it into the track, obviously, so there has been some alteration done by him. But this synth is me having played it in on GarageBand, then at the time of the back and forth of trying to work out what to use as the sound for this synth, I had the Logic Pro free trial, and I was doing my Emma Learns Logic series, and I was messing about with Logic because of that, because the problem we were having was I was trying to describe the sound I wanted when I didn't really fully know what sound I wanted, because it was one of those where I needed to hear it in order to really know what was going to work. But trying to describe something that you're not sure what it's going to sound like to someone else who's probably also got a sound in their head that they're imagining because of that, you know, they're interpreting your description of it, and they're not always going to get it right, especially if your description is really vague because you don't really know what you want it to sound like yet. So you're just sort of going off, well, it needs to be bouncier than this. I don't know, it just needs a bit more body to it than this. I was saying all sorts of obscure things, bless him. We did try, I think we tried 3 synth sounds that he put on it before it got to a point where it was like, right, I'm just going to see if I can find something that at least sounds close to it, and then if I can find that, then maybe you can find something similar in Pro Tools and tweak it until it sounds right. And we were getting to a point where we were thinking we're going to have to book another day in the studio just for me to come in, just to pick this synth. So I was messing around in Logic and I found a clav sound. and that wasn't perfect. So then I found another clav sound. But the two combined got that bounce and that body that I wanted. Because it's kind of sometimes hard to find a sound that you want to have that liveliness and bounce to it, because you want it to have a nice high end to it, because that's what gives it the lightness. But if you really want it to bounce and oomph like that, then it's got to have quite a bit of bass to it. And in the end, I wound up having to use two sounds for it with a bit of tweaking. You know, I did a bit of tweaking to the presets. So then I was asking James what I should do to send this to him, because I got pretty much the perfect sound. If I just need to send him a recording of it so he could give a listen to it, or if I should send him the MIDI files. And he said to just, if it sounds perfect, just bounce them as an audio file, and then I'll mix it into the track like an audio file. So that is technically MIDI that's been mixed in as audio, which I think is neat. It got very complicated finding the right sound for that, but I think it was worth it in the end, because I do think that finishes off the song. And I think that's one of the main things. That and the drums, and the other thing is the bass. Those are the big changes to the track from the demo to the final mix that I think make it really pull it together and make it sound better. So like I just said, the other big change is the bass. So I'm just going to play you the demo followed by the final version. I'm going to play so you can really listen to what the basses sound like here.
Out, filled with doubt, I'm beat. I waste too much energy on every new person. Baby steps starting, baby steps, just one foot in front of the other, one word after another. In, out, filled with doubt, I'm beat. I waste too much, take baby steps starting, baby steps starting, baby steps, just one foot in front of the other, one word after another.
In fact, in the demo, you might even be struggling to fully hear where the bass is, because I think the bass and the guitar, I mean, this is also just because of my terrible mixing skills at this time. I did not know how to mix acoustic guitar when I did this demo. Please don't judge the fact that the acoustic guitar is overwhelming the bass big time in this. They're up against each other. You also don't have that many bass sounds, and none of them were really right, so I put on the bounciest one. So when you then compare that to the final mix, because you can actually hear the bass in this.
In, out, filled with doubt, I'm beat.
And one of my favourite things about the bass is not something that I actually initially knew I wanted until we were in the studio with Ben, who did the bass for me. And as he was playing, he sort of naturally wound up having a bit of bite to each of the notes, a bit of crunch to them. I forget what the exact term is, because there's a term for this in bass. Is it bite? Have I got the right word by accident there? I think it's bite, but it might be something else. It's just giving it that little extra texture to it, especially in the bum 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 bits. It sounds lovely. And that wasn't something I knew I wanted, because I am not a bass player either. So it was just something that he naturally wound up doing while playing the first run through, and checked with me if I liked how that sounded, or if I wanted it a bit cleaner or what. And I just said, no, I like it like that. I like having I think the word's bite, but I'm not sure. The crunch. Give me the slight crunch. And that's the major difference with the bass, is it's gone from a MIDI bass that I just selected because it sounded all right, to an actual played bass where you can hear the little things. Like you can't necessarily get those with MIDI as much. MIDI can be a bit too clean. You don't get those little bits of personality to an instrument when it's an electronic one. Having that more natural feel, actually played feel to the bass, I think just gives it a bit more character. It's one of my favourite things about the final mix, is that you can hear that in the I love the bass on this. Well done, Ben. But genuinely, I think the bass on the final mix really makes the song, and I'm very happy with it, so thank you. Okay, finally, let's compare the bridge parts. This was one of the things I left pretty bare in the demo, and I did know I needed to go into the studio and play around with some things with other people and other people's ideas coming out to help me really work out what was going to work best there. Because this section of the song needed to be lighter and a bit more emotional sounding than the rest of the song, more ballady sounding, but I didn't want to take all of the energy out of it.
There's no rush, these things come with time. So be a little more kind to yourself. There's no rush, these things come with time. So be a little more kind to yourself. You're doing just fine, so just take baby steps. Oh, oh.
You can hear that in this final version, James has mixed that bell that's been going pretty much through all the way through. Those are on both, and they're pretty much exactly the same sound. It's a slightly different synth, but it's almost identical. And they're on both the demo and the final version. But you can hear that it's really clear in the bridge part of this final mix. And that helps to give it that lightness and a gentle, but still driving forward that I think works really well. It also really helped having the actual bass drum being played here, because I think that means that then the drum has a bit more character to it. And then we were talking about it, and it was James's idea, I think, to have just a few cymbals at the end of this section, and then we agreed that it should also be, the bass drum should stop there at the start of the fine, and then that little drum fill bringing the chorus back in just works perfectly. And again, another of those little reversed cymbals. When you want to have a transition, reverse cymbals, they're the way to go. But yeah, a lot of the changes that have happened from demo to final mix are simply me not having enough MIDI instruments on GarageBand to be able to pick out the exact sound that I wanted. And also some cases of simply, it's going to sound better if the real instrument's being played and I don't play bass. Maybe I'll make that my New Year's resolution for next year, learn bass. There we go. Who knows, maybe at some point I'll start learning bass. But yeah, there we go. Overall, and I don't think I realised this until listening back to the demo just now and actually comparing the two side by side like that, I didn't realise actually how similar they are. Like, I mean, it makes sense because I did make this demo and take it into Eschhaus for a reason, to give them an idea of what roughly I wanted it to sound like in the end. And of course they're going to have the overall same vibe. And obviously a lot of the parts that are on the demo have just been replicated onto the final mixed version, and they're just recorded to a better quality, or they're recorded on actual instruments instead of MIDI instruments, or they're just different MIDI instrument sounds that we've chosen in the end. The biggest thing that really has changed is there's a lot more drums on it, and there's a few little extras in terms of effects and those reversed cymbals and things like that are thrown in. But when it comes to the actual arrangement, a lot of the arrangement had been done before I went into the studio, so it was just a question of translating that into the new version. I remember it in my head as the demo version sounding absolutely nothing like I wanted it to, and the final mix version sounds perfect, but I actually did a pretty good job with that demo. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you enjoyed that little breakdown. I think it's nice to give you guys a bit of an insight about the thoughts that I'm having both when I'm writing these songs and then actually when I'm coming to put them together. It's nice to see that evolution, I think. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that too. Let me know if you have, because then if you have, I will make sure to do this for the other two singles that I have planned when it comes out, and maybe do it for all the songs in future. If you enjoyed this video, then please do give it a like, a share, a comment, all of that good stuff, and check out the rest of my channel. And if you enjoy what I do here and you like my music and you want to support me, then hit that subscribe button, and you can also follow me on all of my socials, because obviously then you can keep up with what I'm doing when I'm not putting out YouTube content. If you want to make sure Baby Steps does as well as it possibly can these first few days of its release, then please do stick it on a playlist on whatever platform it is you use to stream, and just listen to that playlist whenever you're doing things like the washing up or exercising or whatever it is. This would be a good warm-up or cool-down song for exercising, I think, because it's steady and bouncy, but it's not too fast. Finally, if you would like to support this channel in other ways, i.e. money, then you can drop into one of my streams. I stream regularly on a platform called sessionslive.com, or if you want to support me directly, I now have a Buy Me a Coffee account. I'll be setting up a monthly membership fee on there as well, so you can pay a small amount each month to gain access to an exclusive members only area where I will post behind the scenes styly content, little extras and bloopers and stuff like that from my videos, outtakes and things, because that's always fun. That's all for this video, guys, and the next thing going on this channel will probably be the music video. Okay, I'm gonna head off and actually work on that music video now because it's not actually finished yet. And I shall see you guys in the next one.
Start